Cuts versus Essentials. Which one's better? Let's find out. What's going on, guys? My name is Carter Schaefer and welcome to my channel. As you may have known from my previous videos, I'm a huge fan of Cuts clothing. I have about 15 articles of clothing from them and I love absolutely every one. I'm actually wearing their classic hoodie in black right now. But based on the comments from my most recent Cuts videos, a lot of you guys have been asking if I've ever tried out Essentials. So naturally, I had to go and pick up my very first pair of Essentials clothing. Now, Essentials are extremely hard to get. The reason that it's taken me so long to do this video is the fact that I've missed now like 1 or 2 drops from them because they sell out in 5 minutes, and if you're not on the second they drop, you don't get anything. I actually had 3 in my cart and I only got 1 of them because they sold out just in the time I was checking out. I've heard great things about Essentials, so I'm here today to try it out for the very first time. So today I'm gonna be comparing the Essentials Basic Tee to the Cuts Basic Tee to see which one is truly the better t-shirt and better value for the money. So this is actually gonna be the very first time I've ever opened this. I have not tried it on, I've not even looked at the color. I ended up getting the color in Sage. One thing I will say is it comes with a mask in the bag, which is really nice because at the time of this recording, we're in the middle of a pandemic. So I got it in blue. I didn't really get a choice, but it's kind of a nice touch. They send you a free mask with every article of clothing that you purchase. All right, so starting off with the Basic Tee. Now, these are very similar to Cuts, as in they are cut very slim and form-fitting, and then they're a little bit tighter around the arms. So the sleeves are a little bit shorter, and they're a little bit longer as far as the length of the entire t-shirt. I got this in a large, which to stay congruent with what I have in Cuts. I'm a large in Cuts, and it fits me perfectly. So I'm excited to see how this fits me. Now, the very first thing that I've noticed, just taking this out of the bag, is it's heavy. And I mean like heavier than the Cuts one. Comparing the two of them side by side, this one definitely has more weight and this is the Essentials. So I'm pretty surprised here because the Essentials tee is probably twice the weight of the Cuts one. This feels a lot heavier, a lot thicker. And so I'm wondering if the Cuts one is gonna be more breathable than the Essentials one. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, as far as color goes, I hope you guys can see this on camera, but they are pretty much identical. I got both of these in Sage, so they're potentially the exact same color t-shirt. It's just that I think the Essentials one is a little bit more green and the Cuts one is a little bit more blue. But we're talking 1 or 2 shades here, like almost nothing. You couldn't really tell a difference. So the only way to battle these two together is to try them on. So I am wearing the Essentials tee in Sage. Now, my first impression about this shirt is that the biceps on this are very tight. I'm not a very muscular person, but I feel muscular because it is just squeezing and hugging the biceps. That's one thing that I think it's got over the Cuts, is that it squeezes your biceps a little bit tighter. It's a little bit shorter of a sleeve. Now, that could be a pro for some people, that could be a con for some people. It just depends on what you're looking for, but it really feels like the arms are being tucked under a little bit, which makes your biceps kind of feel a little bit tighter up there. Now, as far as the form-fitting factor, I would say this is pretty much on par with what Cuts does. They're both a slim fit, more angled in cut, which is really good for tall, skinny guys like me. And so I think it fits me great. As far as the length goes, once again, tall, skinny guy, I need something that's a little bit longer, and this is perfect. I don't know how far back I have to stand, but as you can see, it's long enough. And that's a very rare thing for somebody that's as tall as me, is to have something where if you put your hands up, you're not gonna be completely showing midriff. Now, as far as the weight, I would say it does not feel much heavier once it's on your body. When you have them out of the bag, it feels like the Cuts one is a little bit lighter, probably actually half as light, but once it's on your body, I mean, this feels pretty good. It feels like a premium quality tee, and yeah, maybe a tad bit heavier, but really not that much. Overall, I would say that this is a pretty fantastic t-shirt for the money. If you can pick one of these up, I would totally do it as long as you get there right when it drops, because like I said earlier, they sell out in minutes. Now, one thing I have noticed that I'm missing is actually, ironically enough, the branding. I really like the Cuts branding, and I like the fact that they have this little X on the side. I'm a big fan of very, very low-key branding where you can't really tell what it is unless you really are looking for it. And I've come to really like the little Cuts symbol on the bottoms of their t-shirts. This, being Essentials, doesn't really have anything, and so I kind of miss the Cuts X. Now, one other thing I want to mention is as I was taking this off, I realized this is really stretchy, and I mean really stretchy. The cut stuff, I'm used to it being that spandex-like material, but when I went to take this off and I put my hand through it, this thing stretches so far, and that is a really nice quality to have. I may be a big Essentials fan now, because that is a big deal for me. Now, this is the Cuts t-shirt. You can tell the difference because this one has a pocket on it. Now, Cuts sells them without pockets. I just so happen to have the Sage colorway in the pocket, and I wanted to do a direct comparison of Sage to Sage. So Cuts has a pocket, Essentials doesn't. Not a knock against Essentials. I'm sure they'll have a pocket tee in the future. Actually, they might even have one already. Now, the very first thing I noticed after going from the Essentials t-shirt to the Cuts one is I actually prefer the arm cut of the Cuts more than the Essentials. I think Cuts has done a great job with their arms and making them tight, but not too tight. The Essentials one is actually a little bit too tight now that I think about it, and after I put it on again. I just think that the Cuts one is a little bit better, and it looks like you're trying a little bit less hard to look mean and bulky. As far as the cut goes, obviously they're gonna be tight around the biceps, but I really don't think they're quite as tight as Essentials, and I prefer that. Now, as far as the side-to-side cut, actually, Essentials is a little bit slimmer. This allows you a little bit more wiggle room, and it feels honestly a little bit more breathable because it's not always hugging your skin. Now, I've worn this a decent bit, so it might be stretched out just a tad, but I can tell you for a fact, this is pretty much exactly how it came, and this is a little bit more wide while still being slim fit and narrow cut. As far as the length goes, of course, this thing is long enough. And actually, I like the bottom of the Cuts t-shirts a little bit better because you can choose different hem styles. You can choose between curved hem, you can choose between split hem, and you can choose between elongated. So there's 3 different styles for you to choose from, whichever one really fits your preference. Essentials doesn't actually have that. Now, as far as texture and quality material goes, I would say that this is a little bit less spandexy while still being spandexy. I don't know if that's a word, but you can see that here, I mean, we still have a lot of wiggle room, but it's not nearly as spandexy as the Essentials one is. I mean, side to side, the Essentials one is definitely heavier, and I kind of like the material a little bit better, but I would say it doesn't really matter. Everybody's gonna have their own preference, and I would say it's probably gonna be split 50-50 who likes which material better. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the fact that I've been wearing Cuts for over a year now, and I haven't noticed any pilling or any sort of shrinkage or anything like that as far as the t-shirts go. I don't have the long-term testing for the Essentials one to be able to say, oh, this thing doesn't pill, this thing doesn't shrink up in the wash, and the quality of the material won't break down long-term. It very well could, I just don't know, so I don't have a good enough view to say conclusively which one's better long-term. All in all, I'm a huge fan of both of these t-shirts. I think they're both great high quality t-shirts that are staples to your everyday wardrobe. Both Cuts and Essentials offer them in a wide variety of colors, so you can pick up a couple of them and really deck out your entire wardrobe to have clean, simple looks every single day and make sure you look good and form-fitting. As far as which one I would buy, I would say if Essentials is doing a drop really soon, pick up an Essentials one because they're a little bit cheaper than the Cuts and very, very similar quality. So I don't think you can really go wrong with that. However, Cuts always has their shirts in stock, and they're always changing and releasing new colors almost, it seems like, bi-weekly. Cuts is one of those brands that you can always go to their website and always pick up a couple colors, and it will be a little bit more expensive than Essentials, but I think it's well worth it. So all in all, I would say that these two brands are very, very similar. You give them to the right person, I don't think somebody would be able to tell much of a difference between the two of them. So really it just comes down to whatever is right for you. So those are my final thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like and hitting that subscribe button. As a really small channel, it means a lot, and every single subscribe, every single like really helps my channel grow exponentially. And you guys have been awesome in supporting me in the last couple of videos, and my videos have done exceptionally well for how small of a following I have. If you enjoy videos like these, please let me know down in the comment section below what I should do next, and if you want a more in-depth view of the Essentials t-shirt. Once again, thank you so much for the support. It really means a lot, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace.